welcome back to the Peachy Graduate Podcast. And today my guest is Helen Chisholm. Welcome, Helen. Good to see you.
Hi there. Good to see you, Rich.
Yeah, all the way from beautifully sunny by the looks of things, Wanaka.
Oh, can you see the mountains out the back of the window there?
It's actually so bright that it's just bright light as opposed to outline of the mountains.
I could close the curtains, but they might fall off the curtain rail thing.
That's all good. But I saw a glimpse of them. So yes, I can see the stunning views that you've got there, and I can understand the move, and it makes sense. It makes sense. So let's wind the clock back, because I think it's fair to say you've probably got the most experience in this industry of any of my guests so far. So your career started back in the UK before you even got to New Zealand.
Yeah, I guess I went straight from school into the fitness industry, and as it stood in 89, you either became a lifeguard at your local leisure centre, or you became a sort of PE teacher. So I couldn't swim, and I wasn't keen to go to uni, so somehow I sort of ended up in a small local leisure club in a hotel, and that's where it's gone from there, really.
Yeah. And so do they help you with qualifications at that stage, or does that come later? How did it
was
go?
Pretty much back then you did I think it was your British Weightlifting Association run like a 5-day course. So I got in my little mini, and my mum with me because she wasn't sure I could get all the way there on my own. And I went to Bolton, and I did this 5-day course on lifts, etc., etc. And then that made me, of course, a qualified weight training instructor, I guess, back then. And really from there, I guess I was on the start of then the local leisure centres opening up their own fitness clubs and health clubs, and so gained most of my qualifications through like private institutions, really, and just kept learning from there, really. As you know, in the industry, you can't stand still.
No.
Leg warmers are back. It's quite.
You've got to keep up with the trends, right?
With slouch socks, I think, isn't it? Sorry, Hell's Angels just going by on their motorbikes. So
really? Oh, okay. You get those down there as well. Okay.
No, I think they're actually stockbrokers out on a bit of. It's way better if it's Hell's Angels outside the door.
Yeah. So you obviously did that for a number of years in the UK, and then shifted to New Zealand in 2005. What was the motivation for moving to New Zealand?
Well, Martin had been back in the UK for about 7 years at that point. Obviously, we met and got married in 99, and he missed living out here. He'd started his sort of career as an accountant out here, I don't know when, 1997 or something. So, we literally packed up the house, and at the time the dog, and we had no jobs, nowhere to go.
Wow.
And that was really, we ended up in Gulf Harbour of all places. And 16 years later, we shifted again with a bit more baggage this time, of course.
Yeah. A few extra stomachs to feed. So in that time, I mean, obviously we've worked together, so I know a lot of this stuff already, but it's going to obviously be interesting for listeners. But while you were in Whangaparāoa, you when you got here, you requalified, didn't you? So you actually did your quals again.
Yeah, they said your qualifications are too old. It's been odd that a degree is okay, but private sort of industry, and I'd only done them sort of 3 or 4 years before with a company called Premier Fitness Training in the UK. Yeah. And so I was like, okay, so another $8,000 later. But in many ways, it was a great way of getting in touch with the New Zealand fitness industry and making friends, and kind of getting that idea then that let's look at opening a studio. So it was an interesting start, I think, to coming here, to have to requalify, but hey, that's the way it goes.
Yeah, well done. And that was one of the options that I remember. We went to College of Fitness at different times, and that was definitely one of the options that was sort of put under your nose in terms of what are the options you have going into the industry from here, wasn't it? And I think only the brave people actually did their very own thing. It's quite a challenging thing, but I guess you had a lot of experience, right? So it wasn't like you were just doing your quals and getting into a new industry. It was something you were familiar with. Was that where? Yeah, exactly. That experience must have made a difference in terms of your confidence going, I'm going to open a studio.
Well, I'd been really lucky in the UK to be mentored by a very good friend of mine who'd opened her own gym at age 40.
Yeah.
And I mean, she'd had to, like, the bank manager wouldn't lend her the money. She had to bring her husband along to get the bank loan. So, and I just remember the pride that when she opened this amazing facility, but she wanted it to be something that was a safe space for everybody. So she encompassed the whole exercise prescription, at the time also, it's quite funny, the over 50s, I'm there now. We did the cardiac exercise. So I'd also been lucky enough to work within a podiatry practice as a massage therapist. So I'd had this opportunity to work alongside health professionals. And, you know, I love the idea. And so it wasn't really about just opening a personal training studio. I wanted to sort of utilize those two models that I really enjoyed working within. And, you know, 2008, as it turned out, was probably an interesting time to open something so new, but, you know, we kind of muddled our way through, I guess, and, you know, got a award at the end of it, I guess.
Yeah, and so the year that you won was it studio or small facility?
Yeah, I think it was studio of the year, wasn't it? Because I think it had to be under 1,000 members, which I definitely think we were.
That was 2015?
2014.
14, sorry. Yeah. Awesome. Great accolade to get under your belt. And so in the course of doing your quals, you met Shirley, who was one of the ladies that you brought on board at the studio, right? That was kind of, as you say, a useful way of engaging with the industry. Yeah,
I mean, Shirley, and there was Kylie as well, but Shirley was with me for the whole sort of 8 years that we ran the studio. And of course you came on board sort of, I think probably about 2 years later, I think. But yeah, it was certainly having other trainers who I think come through the same qualification meant we were all starting from the same point. We all had that same idea of where we wanted to take our PT training.
Yeah, and that's exactly what you did create. Like you just said, you had that combination of the trainers and the allied health professionals in rooms inside the same space, and you know, walking in there and working there, it made absolute sense from our point of view working there, but also clients walking in who may sometimes need a physio or may sometimes need an osteo that supplements the work, so that they can come straight back out, have a conversation with the PT and go, just need to work on this, just need to work on that. And hey, presto, there was no gap, there was no lag between those appointments and then coming back into the gym. And it was a beautiful model, because if you separate those services out, there can be so much lag that people don't even bother going back and they get lost. So it was a good solution.
Oh, I mean, I was very lucky. People like Koa, you know, I hounded her for a year to come and work out of the studio. And Michelle McNair was another one, and you know, they've got such knowledge, but they also had, you know, a great community that they brought with them. So it was tapping into their expertise, but also their client bases as well. You know, and we ended up with a beauty therapist next door because she could see that we again could sort of share those sort of referral pathways. And then obviously Linda Hopper came in as a very experienced massage therapist, and then of course Kerry Johnson came on board with the total gyms, and that totally moved where the studio was going, much more towards that small group training. So yeah, by partnering up with other health professionals, but also other PTs, we certainly had quite a role there for a few years.
Yeah. I forgot about the whole total gym thing, because I mean, I got my practitioner qualifications in that while I was there, and such a great tool for that small group training environment, but such a great tool for rehab and so many other things as well, right?
And we needed a point of difference. You know, when we first opened, we were the studio, and then I think there was one other 24/7 gym and the leisure centre. You know, fast forward 5 years, we had Jets, we had you know, a Vibra gym, we had I don't know, 6 or 7 different gyms suddenly competing. So we really needed that point of difference, and for me, Total Gym was kind of, you know, changed certainly how our studio how it looked. We certainly had to move some equipment and knock down some walls, and you know, and we went from there into anti and postnatal fitness. So I just never saw that in 2008 that we'd suddenly become a niche on the coast for providing that as a service as well. And I did a Zoom circuit this morning with the girls who were one of my first antenatal groups, you know, 10 years on.
Wow.
So, It's incredible where some of those clients and friendships can develop.
Yeah, yeah, and I mean that's it. You put a lot of geography between you, but it doesn't stop the same activities occurring. And you know that continuity, people know, like, and trust, don't they? And they stick with you, because why would they do anything different when it works so well for them?
It was a huge moving us as a family to here had always been a dream. But yeah, what we were leaving behind was this 16 years worth of hard work, community and business, pulling the children out of a school where they'd been, since they were 5. And then, you kind of go, what have we done? Because suddenly, so having those couple of online classes that I've been doing since, it really came about after the last lockdown. It just helped ground me a little bit getting here, gave me a sense of sort of identity still, because I was kind of feeling a bit overwhelmed for a while there.
And so you say it's something that you've been wanting to do for a long time. Was there always a timeline for this move from away from Auckland to the South Island?
Well, I think Martin would have preferred another 2 years, because then no mortgage and he could sort of sit back and retire. But COVID's brought a lot of opportunities as well as hardship. But for us, it meant that he could keep his job and change his location.
Brilliant.
And he is supposed to commute up to Auckland, but of course, COVID's put that on hold, which is great. So he's down in the office, busy being busy. So we just felt if we didn't do it now, we might lose that opportunity going forwards. And my son was due to start year 7 in college. So again, that was sort of part of it. So we literally just took advantage of a few things coming together. So yeah, certainly we moved it forward 2 years.
Yeah. Awesome. That gives us an opportunity to talk about sort of, shifting your business. Obviously, you've kept some of that business contact going, and you're doing online sessions, which so many other PTs are around the country anyway. It doesn't really matter where you are. How about the in-person stuff and the plans to I guess find more local clients? Because that could be something that a lot of PTs have to face for one reason or another.
Well, I felt like it was 2005 again. I just got off the plane. It was like, I didn't have to requalify though, coming to Wanaka. I was like, well, no one knows who I am. And I had a call with Dave, and he said, right, we need to put you in front of people. And I was like, okay. And I'd been sort of putting it off a little bit because it'd been summer and we wanted to settle the kids into the routine, and there's lots of mountains to go running up and down. And, the kids started school, and especially Jack was so brave. He walked into school with a little wave, and I was like, well, okay, look, if these guys can walk into a totally new community and have to find their feet, then I've got to walk the walk as well. I'd been out to the I shouldn't call it the pony club, the equestrian centre, and my number plate, which I realised had no phone number on. This poor guy had been chasing me around Wanaka, which sounds great, but it is quite a small place. And he was trying to find a PT for the summer. And so he sort of gave me a bit of a boost. So there I am in the field with my ropes around a tree and some kettlebells. And so I picked up sort of 2 or 3 clients from that. But unfortunately, they were all Aucklanders, obviously down here on holiday. So I was like, well, that's fine. So now I still need to put myself out there as Dave did it. So I'd been around a lot of the gyms, and when you're trying to find where you fit. And I went to Snap, and it was like entering the dark side, because no one said hi, or no one asked me if I needed an induction. And
really,
it was just full of people with their headphones on, looking very focused. And I was like, oh, okay, I don't think I can work out of here. Well, not sure I can find my tribe in here. So I went online and looked at a couple of other sort of smaller gyms, and I was like, I'm trying to change who I am to fit into what I perceive to be their model. And my difficulty is I don't have anywhere in the rental where I can just sort of, open up shop, as it were. So I was like, I don't know. So yesterday, I was out at the equestrian centre because Chloe rides. And just a conversation, again, that blimmin' number plate, which does now have a
number.
And the owner of the pony club says to me, the equestrian centre, she said, so what do you do? I said, well, I'm a personal trainer, but I really need to find some clients. So she said, so do you know about equine fitness? And I was like, I don't know much about horses. And she sort of obviously thought, she said, no, I meant the riders. And I said, well, what do you want? And within 20 minutes, these 6 instructors and her, with this enthusiasm and passion, had somehow decided that I was going to be running their fitness sessions, because their horses go, I don't know, there's probably some horsey people out there, but the season nearly finishes. The horses go into the paddock for the winter. Yeah. They all sit down and get fat. I think they meant them rather than horses. And so they said, look, we've got this barn over here. Look, we can do some sessions in here. And so before I knew it, I thought, oh my God, look, I've just put myself in front of people, but a completely different niche to where I thought I was trying to find, because there's some amazing endurance athletes down here. And I kind of felt that sort of imposter syndrome setting in a little bit. And thinking, I moved here because I wanted that opportunity, I suppose, as well, to kind of change my brand and changed maybe who I work with. And I thought, oh, okay, what is it? Don't look a gift horse in the mouth. That's a dad joke.
Back-to-back jokes today.
But I got really excited about it. And I thought, these girls are so keen. I said, well, I've never sat on a horse. I'm a fitness instructor, but you guys ride horses. Please don't put me on one. And, they knew exactly kind of what they needed to work. So I was like, well, you know what? We can do this. Awesome. I might have to wear a puffer jacket to stay warm in the winter. Yeah. But it turns out someone's got something that we can use for for indoors. So, so from yesterday, where I was thinking, okay, where am I going to find, or how, because I've been doing the early morning running, but runners just run. Yeah. And the school run's a bit strange at the moment because you're all behind masks and you can't you're kind of social distancing. So I'm not like I can chit chat there. And as I say, I train out at Snap, but that's not really my thing. So I just thought, well, okay, well, let's see where we go from there. So watch the space. Helen's becoming the expert on training horse riders. So Chloe, also, she is giving me lessons, so I know which part of the horse we are talking about. But it was fascinating. I've deep dived down a big hole, and it's phenomenal. What's out there. So I'm hoping that sort of gets me in front of people, quite literally. Yeah. Who knows where it could go? But I you said no one in Wanaka is doing this, and I thought, well, they are now.
That's awesome. That's so good. And that is literally putting yourself in front of people, right? But not only will it be the horsey people, but it'll be everybody they know, and that the ripple effect could potentially go, to.
It's that sort of that start you need. And I've been doing a sort of an induction week with another studio here. That David suggested I had a chat to, Gareth and Jody, who work very similar to the sort of HMC model. Yeah. But again, it was going in and doing sort of seeing how they work. And I thought, well, this is how you guys work. But it didn't feel it was, I can bring something new to the classes, which is what they're looking for. But I was like, I was trying to sort of make me fit what they do. And it just, I was like, this doesn't feel right. And I think I'm old enough and wise enough not to have to put myself in a position where I'm just taking the role because I feel I should do. We've both sort of said at the end of the week, let's see if it suits me and it suits them. So, but it is. It's like starting all over again. It's like being a fresh graduate out there. Right. To be honest, you've got to be.
But the good thing is, as an experienced person, as opposed to that fresh graduate, you're kind of bringing all that knowledge and experience and things that have worked and haven't worked previously to it, and it's worked. And obviously, just having that social connection, the soft skills that kind of make or break the role, is what then leads you down the new pathway. So
my son says, "No more jibber jabber, Mum. It's time to go." And I said, this jibber jabber is getting me work,
Yeah. This is important jibber jabber.
Yeah, it is, because it's because I've got some friends saying, so put a thing in the local messenger magazine. I was like, yeah, but I've got nothing to offer at the moment. It's all very well to do boot camps in the park, but it's already drawing in the mornings, and it's not ideal. I don't have a venue. There's not that many places where you can sort of even just hire space, which I've done in the past. Yeah. So I really need our builder to get building, so my studio space, can then become my domain again.
Your dedicated space. Then you'll
Of course, that way I will have people to bring with me into my new space. So, it's all
true. It sounds like it's working the right way around, because you're going to build that client base, and then you'll have somewhere to house them once there's enough of them. So what about the barn? So will you be able to do stuff in the barn with the horse people?
Well, because again, being a bit of I was like, oh gosh, is it going to have this sort of muddy floor, hay bales, pour in the straw? And it's absolutely immaculate, and I shouldn't be surprised, really. And they were like, well, Saturday morning we'll come in and we'll tidy up a space and give it a good clean up, because they are so keen, these girls, to have someone to come in and help them get fit. It's the one thing they've been missing, and apparently it's quite a big thing now. If you read Horse and Pony, I don't know if you do.
Once upon a time,
even they're now doing little bits on the rider's fitness, how important that is. But these guys they live at the stables, so there's very little point in trying to drag them halfway across town. So hopefully that's what I was speaking to Carol, who owns the Waterfall Equestrian, and she was like, look, maybe you can utilize that for some of the mums as well. They're just hanging around while their daughters ride. And I was like, okay, so it's from Chloe doing her sort of summer pony camp there. I was only kidding when I thought I'd hang around the pony club, because there's quite a bit of disposable income around there. And I just thought, oh my gosh, these guys, but they didn't really know who I was. If you go online and check out Helen Chisholm, there's not a lot, because I had 16 years of being very lucky and having a very, very solid client base. So suddenly I'm like, maybe I need to put my banner out again.
So Inshape Studios, you kept Inshape Studio, the website, is that right? Did you keep the website going, even though
I did close the website? We kept the Facebook going until probably maybe a year ago, because Kerry and I were still sort of sharing a facility out at Gulf Harbour, and then obviously with COVID in March of whenever it was, it seems like forever now, obviously we sort of pulled out of the facility, so then it didn't quite feel right to keep that going. So Inshape was a name that was kind of given to me, I guess, by the marketing guys way back then, but I always felt our client base was more bent out of shape. Because they were really, weren't they? And I kind of felt it was almost a bit elitist. You had to be in shape to come there. But luckily people, knew what our community was. And it was a very safe space for lots of very, very different people. And so my actual company that's listed is actually Active Plus Limited. But of course, there are physio groups called Active Plus as well. But, I will probably be working under Active Plus down here. So, but it is hard, because all my awards, etc., are under my old persona. Well, then they're still you, and you still earn them. It's just I need my studio space, to put the Inshape back on the wall again. At the moment, I'm not sure the Inshape barn has quite the same.
I guess once you get going, and you'll be able to form a new website, and that will slowly just take care of itself, I guess, over time.
I think I've learned as well that sort of stuff I certainly will. I will, pass that over to someone to do. Not even Martin wants to do that for me these days. So, I think you learn to delegate those tasks that you don't like. I have an accountant that does all the books, and let's have someone that looks after that sort of social media side for me.
Smart. That sounds like tip number 1 to me.
If you're not good, Zoom, I just, I get a 12-year-old to come and get my Zoom set up. How does this work? And he's on the screen, and so I just think, I'd rather put my efforts into, the clients and that side of stuff. And so tip number 1. Perfect. Delegate it out. I
think that's wise. Stick to what you're good at, and let the other people who are good at their thing, that complements what you do their thing. Obviously there needs to be a budget of some kind, and you need to be able to control it. But to try and be good at everything, just that doesn't make sense, does it?
No, and I was in a class today, in between dying on the spin bike. I discovered not only is she one of New Zealand's only, what do you call them when you jump out of a plane? Skydiving instructor. She's still alive as well. She's also a lawyer, but she also is a sort of a brand designer. And so we got sort of talking, because she said, your number plate's PT Gym. What is that? what's the story behind it? And so we're catching up for a sort of cup of coffee, and she's going to have a little chat and see what we can come up with. So
perfect.
I've learned to jibber jabber and ask lots of questions.
See that? So someone sitting on a spin bike next to you is going to be doing your branding work.
Absolutely, yes.
Perfect.
Great, eh?
Yeah. That's still part of tip number 1, I think.
Yeah.
So let's think about others. What are some of the things that you've sort of come across over the years that you thought, oh yeah, that's something that was worked well for me, or conversely something that didn't work that you wouldn't repeat because you learnt your lesson?
Oh, I would never open another big studio.
Okay.
I'm not the businesswoman. I definitely. We came out of that with our heads just above water because I didn't have the skill set for that. My skill set has always been in front of the client, and so no, I wouldn't do that again.
Okay. Yep.
But finding a mentor, I think, was what turned the gym around in after Chloe was born, 2012. And I can never pronounce his surname. But he was also part of Dave Leo's. They were sort of PT mentoring. Gosh, Scott.
Is it PT Plus? Was that Scott Krywitz?
Yeah, rugby league guy. Hey.
Yeah.
Sorry, Scott. I can't remember your surname. Can't pronounce it. And he sort of took me under his wing and really made me sit down and sort of sort out my processes and figure out what our point of difference was going to be, and really sort of set down some monthly goals, some quarterly goals, and that's really where the gravity units, the total gyms came along. Then developing that small group program, and looking at the niches where what can we do differently from everyone else, and how can we do that well. But ultimately we downscaled the business, but I still needed the mentoring, and that's where HMC has just been phenomenal. So number 2, I work on my own. I need someone to hold me accountable, but I also need to be part of a community. I didn't realize how much I missed that. So number 2, get yourself a mentor, whether it's for business or for sort of your own personal skills. Invaluable.
Yeah. I think you're right. I remember having a conversation with a mate of mine who's a big corporate guy, and he's always been in that environment. And it was interesting because somebody left the organization. He went, oh, I'm gonna have to get myself a new mentor now. And that sort of struck me. I thought, why would you need a mentor? You're in this organization, it's plowing along, making lots of money. But it just made me think, everybody should really have one. It doesn't matter whether they're someone you know or someone you don't know, whether they're your boss or whatever it is, but someone who you can bounce ideas off, someone who's probably got a little bit more experience in certain areas so that they can give you their knowledge and their wisdom. And that really set me thinking. I think that was years ago. And like you said, once you've got one, that helps from an accountability point of view. It puts you inside a community, or at least a network of people, and so on. And really powerful. What's number 3?
Great. I guess don't be afraid to ask for help. I've got I don't know, I think it's something like 32, 33 years experience. It's all I know. And I remember we were coming back from a girls' weekend, and they were like, if you could do something differently, what would you be? And they didn't want to be physios or osteopaths anymore. And I said, well, and I sat there and I kept trying to think of something that I was like, no, I've always wanted to be what I am. Like I don't know, because personal trainers went around then, but whether we're health coaches or fitness coaches or whatever we want to call ourselves. But I've learned over the years, don't be afraid to ask for help when you're struggling with things. And that, again, that sort of that mentor is one of those, but also just sometimes coming to like you guys as instructors when I was running the business, or even reaching out sometimes to my clients that have got, what can we do differently here? So yeah, certainly for me, not being too proud, just ask for help, but also, take it on board as well.
Yeah. If you're prepared to ask for it, you need to then do something with it. Yeah. Brilliant. I love it. Any other things that you think are useful that have served you well?
Oh gosh, I don't know. Lost for words. That's a one-off. I guess I've also learned to say no.
Mm.
Learn to say no, because I always wanted to help everybody, and you know, you hate turning people away, but certainly, you know, my time these days is quite has to be fairly sort of structured. I can't do the early morning sessions anymore, unless they're from the sort of, you know, Zoom studio. I'll kind of be a single parent for a wee while while Martin has to travel up to Auckland. So again, I've got to kind of be around for the after school and the activities that come with having, you know, 2 kids under 13.
Yeah.
And so even down here, you know, there was another 2 ladies approached me, and I was just like, actually, no, they seemed a bit too high maintenance for me, and wasn't really my skill set. And so, yeah, learning to say no, and to sort of, you know, people aren't going to necessarily feel bad about you, but it's worse if you put yourself out there and then you let them down. So
yeah,
certainly learned to say no over probably the last 2 years. Actually.
Yeah, it's too easy to say yes, isn't it? I think you're right. That no is pretty powerful. It helps you create boundaries as well, so that you don't always come at the bottom of the list. Awesome, thank you. That's awesome. That's a great long list, and some serious gems in there for people to take away and hopefully put into practice. And I think anyone who's a small studio owner or a studio owner who is looking for some support and some help would probably be able to pick your brains and get even more gems out of it. So I'll make sure I leave your details in the show notes, so that if that does happen, then you're there to answer their questions if you're available, because I think that'd be useful knowledge there. Thanks so much for your time, Helen. I really appreciated it. It's
my
good
pleasure.
catch up. It's good catch up.
Yeah, that's good. I hope to see you in the flesh at some time when we can together on HMC stuff. Yeah,
it'd be nice. I was not joking. I think if we can find Wanaka as a location for an intensive, that'll be outstanding.
I'm sure we can convince Dave, because I mean, it's just phenomenal. You've been to the Hawke's Bay, so it's time for somewhere.
Exactly, somewhere.
I'm sure we can tidy up the barn and move a few Range Rovers and fit us in there. But it's a stunning community. I walk the dogs in the morning, and I can choose the Clutha River or Lake Harware or around the lakes here, and I'm just surrounded by just amazing vistas. And I pinch myself really. I kind of think, am I on holiday? It's like, no, we made this happen, and I think that's it. It was a dream, but I kind of go back to Dave and his picture of the 2 kids on the beach when he was trying to move to the Gold Coast, or Sunshine Coast. And I can sort of put myself in his shoes a little bit as well. You kind of go, what have we done to the family? But the kids are loving it. If this new business venture comes off, then you just keep rolling with the sunshine. So I look forward to introducing you guys to a few of my favorite walks.
Yep, that'd be great. Would love to do it. I've only been a couple of flying visits, so it'd be nice to I haven't even skied, so it'd be brilliant. Get into
I'm not very good at that, but I think you might have to get Polly to do this. Things. But I think most people, they think of Wanaka as just the lakefront with the bars and maybe the Wanaka tree, but within 5 minutes you've got some beautiful areas, and it's just, as a community, they've been very welcoming. And I think, as I said to you, everything's 5 minutes away. And I thought they were all kidding, but you know what? I can walk to the supermarket. I can. We can walk to the lakefront. It takes me 5 minutes to the school drop off, and the rush hour is about 8 cars and sometimes a tractor. Most people bike here and walk.
Brilliant.
The kids have been welcomed into new school communities. So I'm just very, very relieved that our Wanaka dream so far has proved to be what we want it to be, which was a complete change of lifestyle after 16 years in Auckland.
Massive change. Well, good luck, and I'm sure it's going to go fantastically well, because it already is. So all the best. Yeah,
you got to make these things happen, haven't you? So
have. Cheers.
Oh, good talking to you there, Rich.
Okay, bye for now.
See ya.
See ya.